posting was Chilliwack. Transferred to Grand Forks in May 2023. He has thoroughly enjoyed his time in Grand Forks and looks forward to working here for many, many years. Put your hands together for these presenters, please. Okay.
Yes, so the camera goes from like here or until like here. All right, come over here.
Okay.
Perfect. No worries. Okay, hello. My name is Elora Bietz. I am the WildSafe BC. Oh. Hello. Oh, hello. Okay, perfect. Okay. Hi, my name is Elora Bietz. I'm the WildSafe BC Community Coordinator. I work for the BC Conservation Foundation, and our main job is to teach as many people as we possibly can about how to keep wildlife wild so that we can keep our community safe. So every year, the Conservation Officer Service receives approximately 25,000 calls from the public regarding wildlife in British Columbia. Many of these calls are regarding large carnivores in urban areas or wildlife in conflict. Many of these conflicts can be avoided by learning more about the root causes and taking certain actions to prevent negative encounters. WildSafe BC is the provincial leader in preventing conflict with wildlife through collaboration, education, and community solutions. So we have program coordinators throughout BC that deliver the program to over 100 communities. Our activities include door-to-door outreach, as well as WildSafe Ranger presentations for school-age children, presentations like this one, similar wildlife awareness and safety presentations, bear spray workshops, booths at community events, and garbage tagging, as well as others. Our program began as Bear Aware in 1998, and in 2013 evolved to include other species that humans come into conflict with. British Columbia has some of the highest densities of large carnivores in North America. Okay, there are an estimated 3,500 cougars in BC, and there are an estimate of 8,000 wolves in BC. There are approximately 15,000 grizzly bears in BC, and we have more than 1/4 of North America's. BC has some of the highest densities of black bears, with an estimated of 140,000 to 250,000. It is recognized that these animals play a critical ecological role in the landscape, have spiritual value for many Indigenous people, and have intrinsic value. However, they can present a real and perceived threat to people, and have as well as pets and livestock and property. Reducing factors that lead to conflict and adopting proven practices when sharing the landscape with these animals is key to ensuring a harmonious coexistence for all. Again, every year, the BC Conservation Officer Service receives 25,000 calls regarding wildlife, as I said. And of these, the vast majority involve black bears. While the number of calls regarding grizzly bears are lower, this is partly because they are a fraction of the population size of black bears. The second most reported species are deer, many as a result of injury or vehicle collisions. Urban deer conflicts are also on the rise in many communities. While cougar numbers are much lower than black bear, sightings frequently generate a report. So the graph that you're looking at here is black bear reports from 2016 until 2023. And this is correlated by month. As you can see, there's a lot of activity in the fall. We're going to talk a little bit more about why that happens. And then in this graph here, it's comparing different species reports from 2016 down till 2023. And you'll notice that the highest reports that we have are for deer every single year, as well as black bear. Okie dokie. So, male bears are called boars, females are called sows, and their offspring are called cubs. Bears tend to be solitary unless the sow is raising her cubs. She'll mate in June, sometimes with multiple partners, and can have up to 5 offspring, but 2 is more typical. Bears are unusual in that they have an adaptation called delayed embryo implantation. If they have not put enough weight on them to survive the winter and raise their young, the embryo will not implant and develop. Bears enter dens on average from November to April, and during this time, they do not eat, drink, urinate, or defecate. They become lethargic and their heart rate drops to about 10 beats per minute. Their body temperature lowers to about 3 degrees. Winter hibernation is an adaptation to surviving winters with little food. If temperatures are mild or if they find food sources, they may not enter their dens until very late, if at all. This is more common in young bears that have not had good success in fattening up for the winter. So in colder climates, they will enter their dens sooner and emerge later. Bears typically emerge from their dens around April, first with the males, later with the females, and then the females and their cubs. While classified in the order Carnivora, bears are actually omnivores, meaning that they eat a variety of food from plants to fish to insects, meat, and carrion, but around 80% of their diet is vegetation. In the spring, they go after protein-rich young plants, followed by berries. Berries often ripen in season in succession from one species to another. There are many berry-producing shrubs, and success or failure of these natural crops are sometimes connected to higher spikes in human conflicts. They also thrive on protein-rich insect larvae, and a sign of bear activity are overturned stumps hosting colonies of insects. With regards to salmon, they prefer the brains and eggs, but they'll consume most of the fish. Late summer and fall is a period for bears called hyperphagia, so that's an extreme eating. They can consume over 20,000 calories a day. We consume about only 2,000, and to put on enough fat to survive winter hibernation. Black bears are numerous in BC and can tolerate living close to people. Bears prefer to avoid risk and will avoid people by foraging at night and in urban areas. This adaptability and tolerance for people, along with their strong motivation for food, can lead them into conflict. We use the terms human habituation to describe an increasing comfort around people. Bears that only come into communities at night might start foraging during the day and become even more inquisitive by entering carports and other confined spaces. All animals need 4 basic things: food, water, shelter, and space. Bears can fulfill these needs near us if we let them. Bears will forage for food in backyard trees, and then when the fruit wanes, they may turn to garbage. They may cool off in a pool or backyard pond, and they may even try to den under a porch, hot tub, or other nearby spot. Food conditioning is a learned behavior when bears can find food easily with low risk around people. When bears become human habituated and food conditioned, they become increasingly determined at finding food near people. Every year, there are reports of bears accessing food in cars or by trying to break into structures. Bears in confined spaces can be particularly dangerous. Always give them a clear exit. In 2020, over 500 bears were destroyed by the Conservation Officer Service, but this is as a result of food conditioning and human habituation. Relocating a bear that is in conflict with people is not generally in the best interest of the bear. They have to be trapped, tranquilized, and then moved. This is physiologically stressful for the bear and hard on the bear. Then, if they are moved within their home range, they may simply go back to the area they know best. If they were in conflict before, they will likely be again, unless the source of conflict has been addressed. If you move a bear away too far, it has to find new food sources and also survive potentially dangerous encounters with other bears. Removing one bear does not solve the issue of another bear taking its place and repeating the cycle. The best solution is to identify what led to the conflict behavior in the first place and then addressing that so that every bear, because very often a bear is accessing food sources near people. When living in bear country, it's important to recognize all the different attractants and foods that may lead to food conditioning in bears. So this includes bird feeders, garbage cans, fruit in backyards, barbecues, compost. There's a lot of different things that can act as an attractant for bears. Sometimes things that we didn't realize would be that as attractant. Even baby diapers can be something that attracts bears. If it smells good, they're going to want to get to it. And even things like birdseed, it seems so small, but there are 8,000 calories in 1 kilogram of birdseed. These are all great sources of food for them, and they're very, very prone to coming into our neighborhoods to access these attractants. We also have cougars in the area. So cougars tend to be solitary animals, except when females are raising their young. They are active year-round, and there is no set breeding season for cougars. They may have different mates over their lifetime. They typically have anywhere from 6 kittens, but 3 is average. The young will be left to fend for themselves after 9 months of age. Cougars are strict carnivores and usually hunt deer, but will take on young moose, elk, and bighorn sheep. Cougars will also prey on rabbits, squirrels, beavers, or other small mammals, including off-leash pets. Where deer are abundant, there's a good possibility that a cougar is in the area. They are most active at dusk and dawn. Contrary to popular belief, cougars do not pounce on their prey from overhanging rocks or trees, but they stalk an animal and then use an explosive series of bounds in order to jump on their prey. As large prey take a number of days to consume, they may cover it with debris to keep off scavengers and return it many times until it is fully consumed. If you encounter a kill, leave the area immediately and make a report to the RAP line, calling the conservation officer's office. Go ahead. And then back to what I do. So you learned a lot of this information right there. I host information booths throughout the summer. So I've gone to a lot of different areas, a ton of farmers markets. I've gone to a lot of fall fairs, gone to different carnival events following Prevention Day. I've talked to over 1,000 people at these booth events in order to educate as many people as I can about wildlife attractants and wildlife within the area. I also do WildSafe Ranger presentations. So that's where I take this information and I put it in a kid-friendly style. And I teach children about different attractants around their home, how to keep wildlife wild and our community safe. I've talked to every single student in every single school within the boundaries. So that's everywhere from Christina Lake to Rock Creek. I've been teaching all of the children there. I've also done 2 presentations, WildSafe Rangers presentations, wildlife awareness and safety presentations, where I've talked to adults and I've given the same information, but in a much longer format. I've also done a bear campsite workshop where 75 kids, all of the children in Christina Lake Elementary School, came through to my campsite where I specifically placed different attractants from citronella and bug spray all the way to peanut butter in my tent. And I asked them what here is a bear attractant. So they all learned when they're camping in the wilderness what a bear attractant is, and then how to make sure they stay safe around bears in the wild. So I also have bin tagging as one of my activities. That's where I can come the night before garbage day. As I said, garbage is one of the #1 attractants for black bears. So the night before garbage day is when they are most vulnerable for our garbage bins to be pounced on. So if you've ever received a yellow ticket on your garbage bin, that's simply because it's a huge bear attractant, and this is meant to be an educational piece. Garbage bin tagging happens the night before garbage day, anywhere from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. There's also the WildSafe BC after school program. We actually just had our last session last night, and that was running from September, where children in Grand Forks could come to our after school program and learn a little bit more about each and every species, not just the general program. Other activities that I do, I also go door to door. I've talked to over 220 people by knocking on their doors or giving them a door tag about specifically black bears and also cougars when we had some cougars in the area. Also for BC Goes Wild, when we have a higher activity in September with black bears. We're in hyperphagia. I've done the Bears and Brews events, which was a trivia event that happened in Grand Forks, as well as I've increased my activity as well. For social media, I've been engaged on social media, putting posts regularly with information for folks to access online. And I've also made 2 press releases about cougars and black bears that were seen in the newspaper. Thank you so much. We're actually going to hear a little bit more about Mark, but we couldn't function with